Hi guys! I wanted to make this video to talk about some of the things that are happening lately with my recovery and my therapy. And it's funny because I've just posted a video about shitty therapists and the such, and I don't know if part 2 will already be up, but stay tuned. On that note, I've found a new therapist recently, and I've been going to therapy for I think 3 or 4 sessions. And I mean, I do have a lot of issues, but what I'm focusing on lately is PTSD because it's what I'm dealing with right now most strongly at the moment. And therapy is such a hard thing. I think therapy is hard for anyone, even people who aren't mentally ill and are going to therapy. I think it's still really hard to go to therapy because I was thinking about doing another video for my other channel about change and how change is so hard. And it kind of ties with this video, this topic in general, because it's such a hard thing to know yourself and to discover what you actually believe in and what you actually want when you think you want something else. My cat's here. And it's so hard, especially when you're not used to having people being positive in your life in any way, because I'm really not used to people criticizing me with a positive intent. I'm not used to people pointing out mistakes or bad things and they actually be true, or these people actually meaning well. Because most people I had in my life, they didn't have a good intention. They didn't have my best interest at heart. And so even when they pointed out something, I couldn't believe what they were saying because I know that their motives were wrong. So even if what they were telling me was an actual flaw or something that I could actually work on, I couldn't believe the delivery, and that made me doubt the problem that they were pointing out. Because if I was aware of the problem, then I wouldn't need people to point it out to me. But if I need someone to point something out to me, then it's because I'm not noticing it myself. And if I can't trust the way that people are pointing it out to me, how could I fix it, or how could I examine myself, So even when those bad people would say things, I couldn't trust them. Or even if they did say something irrelevant, it usually made me feel really bad because of the way that they communicated the message. So lately I've been going to therapy, and my therapist it seems to me like he's a really positive person. He's really nice, and it feels like he actually believes in what he's doing, and he actually believes that you can achieve what you're trying to achieve with therapy, which is different from my other therapists. And I don't know if it was just me who had a problem with woman therapists, because they resemble my mother so much that I can't help but to project my mother on them, and I end up not being able to have a good relationship because I only interpret what they're doing or saying in a negative light. I'm already rambling. This is gonna be a pain in the ass to edit. So the fact that I picked a male therapist already helped with that. But there's like a lot of things that he's trying to make me think about. And because I have PTSD and we haven't actually touched on that subject directly, like actually talking about the trauma or, things on that area, it seems like he's trying to fix the symptoms of the problem and not the problem. And the thing is, I don't feel comfortable talking about these things. I barely feel comfortable thinking about these things. And I was aware that I would mention them, but I wasn't going to depth into any of them. I was very aware that I was doing that. But I thought to myself that no, I can just wait a little bit until I feel more comfortable and then I can talk about these things. But the thing is, I'm talking to him about, well, everything else that I can, or just alluding to the trauma, and it feels like he is giving me these tips and these questions that challenge my coping mechanisms to the trauma without touching the trauma. And what that does is it's very distressing, because it's like trying to take the training wheels off a bike when you don't know how to ride the bike yet, and they're trying to take them off the first time that you're trying to learn it, and that's not gonna go well. So that feels like what is going on. And last session he was questioning me because I have very little stress tolerance, very little, and he was questioning me about how I let things affect me, as in actually let them affect me. And that was really, really triggering, like literally triggering, because I really hate the idea of me being the one because I have this idea in the back of my head, like reinforced by other people too, that everything that I'm going through, I'm causing it myself, like I'm doing it to myself. And that ignores literally everything that I went through, all the traumas, and you just can't ignore these things when you're considering the situation that you're in right now. You just can't take a big portion of your life, ignore it, and then say, oh, just what I did on this 1/10 of my life is what's causing this. Because that's not true. But it's a fear that I have, because it's what a lot of people suggest when it comes to trauma. A lot of people suggest, especially when it comes to like family trauma, that you're the one who's causing it, or you're the one who's not being understanding, or you're not interpreting things wrong, or you should just accept the abuse, and suddenly things would work out. They certainly wouldn't work out for you. They would work for the other person, and I have this fear on the back of my head. And when he said that, it was just so overwhelming to hear, because we hadn't touched in any of the other things yet. So when he's talking about a consequence of a choice that I made regarding how I deal with things right now, and we haven't actually talked about that choice, it makes it feel like he's blaming me for everything, for the abuse, for the pain I'm in, without considering why I would be making such a choice to let these things affect me. And he even suggested he either didn't understand that I was talking about a trigger, like an actual PTSD trigger, or he was actually telling me that I was letting my trigger affect me, which was such a wild thing for me to hear, because I was like, how can you even go to that type of realm of possibility? And I'm aware that I didn't mention anything that actually happened to him, which is why I'm so conflicted about it, because it instantly triggers my threat targeting. Because when I feel threatened, when it comes to my PTSD, I immediately put like a threat label on the person, like on top of their head, and I interpret every single one of their actions considering that threat targeting that I put. And that's not always the case, but that's how I protect myself. That's how I chose to cope with it. And I know that that's not the best way, but I'm trying to deal with things. And that thing that he did made me put that threat targeting on him. And the problem with that is that I stop taking what he says in a positive light, and I start taking it as if he doesn't understand what I'm saying, and he doesn't understand where I'm coming from. So what he's saying is invalidating, and he's not actually validating what happened to me. And like I spent the whole week really distressed about this and thinking about it, and like he could have at least said it in a different way. But I was thinking about how could you imply that you were causing this to yourself in a good way, and there's just no way that you can say that. And it wouldn't hit you like a truck. Like, there's no way to phrase it that would make it less bad, basically. Or that wouldn't maybe make the person miss the point entirely if you sugar-coated it a bit. So that's like, I don't think there's any way that he could have said it that would make it less hard to hear. But it also makes me feel pressured to tell him about the trauma and things, and I just don't feel comfortable enough talking about them right now, which is the problem that I'm having. I know that this is really specific and stuff, but it just talks about the general difficulty that is recovery in therapy. Because it's so hard to have another person telling you things when you don't know what they actually think about you, when you don't know if they actually have a good intention, when you don't know if they actually care about you or your well-being. And you can't assume that from all therapists, truly, because some are really unprofessional and just plain bad, and I've had my experiences with that. So it's really hard not knowing if you can trust someone, while at the same time having to think about all these really difficult things that therapy is supposed to elicit in you. And not only that, but it's really hard to change and to overcome fear. Fear is what drives most of my coping mechanisms, basically. And it's really hard in recovery, especially when you don't have support to deal with these things. And there's a lot of things that I know for a fact that would be easier if I actually had a support system with me. And that's just so difficult. It's just difficult in general. So that's where I'm standing right now. I really want to believe that he wasn't being bad or invalidating, but it automatically puts mistrust with our interaction, and it makes me afraid that every time that I go there, I'm just gonna be distressed for a whole week until I have to go again. And then repeat it ad eternum. and it's just not really that's not a really stimulating thing to go to. Like, it's not like I feel like going. Like, by the time the thing that happened last week stops like majorly bothering me, it's already time to go again. And I don't know. Yeah. There's not much of a point to this video. I just wanted to vent because I don't have anyone to vent about this, and I can't vent about him to him because that would be awkward. That's what's been happening lately, and therapy is hard, and it makes me like realize just how unsafe I am, like with my own mind, just like how much something that could like be meaningless could be affecting me because I just don't have any other contact with reality to have like a different opinion. Like, I only have my own opinion about these things, and I don't have anyone to say like, maybe you're overreacting. So that's that. To be honest, there's not really a point to this video other than like rambling, which I already do so much. Oh my god. Like, lately I've been really aware of how much I ramble, and it's just been so painful to edit my videos because I spent 5 minutes rambling about something and then I edit it and I'm just like, I wanna die. Will I never stop talking about this thing? How much longer will I be rambling for? Oh my god. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. If you liked, give a like and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and that's it, I think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.